Hey YouTube, what is up? Budsterbrown back for another movie review, specifically Halloween Ends. This movie has me very conflicted, more so than the past two entries. In some ways, it's my favorite of them all, but in others, it's by far the worst. I know that sounds confusing, just like the movie itself. But if you guys are intrigued, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification down below. I seriously want to get more feedback for the show. I'm trying a different lighting setup this time, so let me know what you guys think about it. With that being said, let's get into the review of Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends was once again directed by David Gordon Green, who also directed Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018. If you guys didn't see my previous reviews, I liked Halloween 2018, but I didn't think that it reached its peak potential because it relied too much on nostalgia and humor to drive its appeal. Halloween Kills is a movie that I much preferred to Halloween 2018 just for its unique overall vibe and also its carnage candy, trademark Cody Leach. That being said, I had very low expectations going into Halloween Ends. To be honest, I thought the movie was going to be a mediocre rehash of things that we've already seen in the past. The Laurie Strode-Michael Myers showdown has gotten so old at this point, and I was like, what are they going to do? There's no point of doing this movie anymore. It's been made before. However, this movie proved me wrong. This is the first Halloween movie since Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 that I've seen the franchise take some serious risks. This is not your cookie cutter Michael Myers affair. This is something totally new. I do want to talk spoilers at some point in this review, however, I'll keep it non-spoiler for now. As soon as spoilers show up, I'll put it right up there in some bold text. Right off the bat, I want to talk about the visuals. They're gorgeous, as to be expected. David Gordon Green is able to craft this perfect Halloween world that feels so cozy and familiar, yet dark and creepy. I want to point out the production design as well. The sets in this movie are fantastic. Nothing feels thrown together. It all feels like it was thought out very carefully by David Gordon Green and the production design team. The camera movement is good as well. It never gets too shaky, but it doesn't get stale either. So overall, the cinematography and production design in this movie is fantastic. I have no complaints there. Another thing I would like to compliment about this movie is Michael Myers, specifically his mask. I love how his mask has just gotten significantly more worn down to the point where you can almost see through the skin. It's so worn down. I think it's a really good look and I'm a big fan of it. I also like what this movie did with Laurie Strode. It's different than the trailers would have you think, and I really like that. And that's actually something I would have to say about this whole movie. The trailers subvert your expectations. The movie you think you're going to get watching the trailers is not the movie you get. And for some people, that's a bad thing because they go in with expectations and then they ultimately get let down because it's not what they were expecting. However, I actually like that because I went in expecting something and I got something entirely different, and that to me is cool. I don't want to feel like I've seen the movie by watching the trailers, and that was a special feeling that this movie was able to give me, and I really appreciate that. Michael Myers, as always, is a very intimidating presence, and I always love him on screen. The guy playing Michael Myers does an excellent job getting all of his mannerisms, especially in this movie where it's slightly different than usual, but I'll get into that soon. Lastly, before I go into spoilers, I just want to say my biggest problem with this movie are certain relationship issues with characters. Often they feel forced and unnecessary, and it actually really bogs down the plot. Another thing I want to talk about is that this movie has a lot of great ideas that I don't feel like it's fully able to maximize their potential. Although I do think it does it somewhat competently, which is why I think overall I'm positive on this movie. It feels like a lot of the character writing got a little lazy at some point, and so that they had to force certain things to happen that feel unnatural and unrealistic of the characters. Also, the people of Haddonfield are just the worst human beings alive. With all the tragedies going on, you think there would be a lot more sympathy, yet everyone's just a freaking terrible person for like no reason, and it's very bothersome and it doesn't feel realistic. Overall though, I think the movie is a good time. It subverts your expectations. I would recommend seeing it for sure. I think it's a good Halloween flick that you can watch and discuss with your friends and see, hey, is this good or is this bad? It's not your typical Michael Myers affair, and to some that might be a disappointment, but overall, I think it does a lot of unique things and twists that merit a watch. Now I'm going to go into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, I'd recommend not watching this portion. However, if you have, or you just don't care about spoilers, or you're not planning on watching it either way, then yeah, sure, stick around. The most unique idea that this movie has is that a lot of people can become like Michael Myers if they're pushed to the right circumstance. It's kind of like the Joker's theory of all it takes is one bad day. There's a character named Corey who not only gives an excellent performance in this movie, he also changes drastically throughout the movie's runtime. He starts as like a nice babysitter-like dude who just watches a kid, and he ends up accidentally killing him a year after Michael Myers came. The town is also riddled with murders since Michael Myers left, almost like his presence alone was enough to cause these horrible atrocities. And it shows how Corey was bullied by the people of Haddonfield for accidentally killing a child, which is understandable. I do think they take it a bit far, however, I get it. So after a ton of poking and prodding and seeing Corey slowly go insane and being bullied by these young seniors in Haddonfield, he ends up getting pushed off a bridge and dragged into a sewer by Michael Myers. When he wakes up, he tries to leave when Michael Myers starts choking him. However, when Michael looks him in the eyes, Corey has a strange sort of reaction to it, and it's like he snaps. And after he snaps, Michael lets him go. After this moment in the movie, Corey has a new confidence in himself and starts killing people, becoming more and more like Michael Myers. Now, a lot of questions are probably going to be brought by, why the heck did Michael Myers spare Corey? And I think the interesting thing is, they always compare Corey's eyes to Michael Myers' eyes, how they see the same evil in Corey's eyes that they see in Michael Myers' eyes. And one thing that we've seen Michael Myers do an awful lot is stare at his reflection in the window. And it's almost like Michael sees his eyes in this other person. And it's almost like he's looking at himself. He's looking at evil. And evil is a huge theme in Halloween. And I like how they illustrate that in this movie. At some point, Corey even puts on the Michael Myers mask and starts killing like Michael Myers. And I think this shows that it's not just Michael Myers that's evil. Once Michael Myers is gone, it doesn't mean everything's gonna be okay. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be safe. Evil will always exist, and Laurie Strode mentions that in her final monologue of the movie. So even though it's not like, hey, there's gonna be a sequel to this movie, everybody, it's like someone else can don that persona, and someone else can become evil. Someone else might be like Jason Voorhees from Camp Crystal Lake, or Norman Bates at the Bates Motel. Every town can have a story like this. Every town can have a person like Michael Myers, and that's shown through the lens of Corey, who pretty much becomes Michael Myers all the way up to the end of his life when Laurie Strode leads to his demise. That being said, we do get a really cool showdown between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. And although we knew it was coming, we knew it was showing up, we weren't surprised at all. But I gotta say, it was ultimately very satisfying, and I'm glad that the whole movie didn't follow the blueprint of Michael Myers versus Laurie Strode, or Laurie Strode's afraid of Michael Myers returning, because as I said, she's tried to move past all of this. She's tried to move in a different direction. She's feeling safer. She's feeling a little bit better. She just feels more guilt than fear, and I think that that's an interesting element to take her character. I also like that she's questioning herself and wondering, hey, maybe my PTSD is the reason why I'm seeing Michael's eyes in Corey's eyes and I'm not all there. And I think that's an interesting direction to take her character, and it's a unique direction that we haven't seen as much before. Overall, I like this movie's ambitious themes and ideas, and I think that they execute them pretty well. That being said, I do have some problems with the movie that I feel hinder its quality or hinder its maximum potential of achieving those ideas. I'll start off with something small, and I've already said it in my non-spoiler section, but the people of Haddonfield are just like terrible people, and they're super mean for like no reason. We don't know why. They're just like, hey, you have trauma? Well, you suck. And it's like, who talks like that? Like, the people that were bullying Corey, like, hey, can you buy us some beer? And he's like, no. They're like, you know, let's bully him and call him, like, a creepy pedophile. And it's like, no one does that. I guess someone does that. That guy does that. But it didn't feel very realistic. And especially didn't feel realistic when they were doing it to Allison, about how Michael Myers, the boogeyman, haunts her. But, like, her whole family was killed. Yet, they're like, yeah, you freaking nerd, freak show, family was killed. Like, under no circumstance should that be okay. And it's totally unrealistic. And even though I really liked the character of Corey and his implementation and how he adds to the themes of not only this movie, but the entire Halloween franchise as a whole, I feel like his relationship with Allison felt really forced and also kind of unnecessary. And that's what I would have to say about the character of Allison. She didn't need to be in this movie. If you take out Allison and you tweak a couple of things, I think we actually get a more effective movie with less screen time having to focus on her, because she doesn't add anything. The movie doesn't do a very good job of making you buy into Allison and Corey's relationship. Although I could understand why Corey would have this psychotic obsession with Allison like he does, it's hard to believe that Allison would have the same crazed obsession with Corey. There's nothing that Corey does that really makes me think, oh yeah, Allison would be totally into this guy. Her reasoning for liking him is, hey, he survived through some trauma, and I survived through some trauma, so we should be like soulmates for whatever reason. And I do like a point that Corey makes where he's like, hey, the difference between you and me is that I'm the killer. You're the survivor. It's like Allison doesn't seem to get that point, and it's really hard to buy her relationship with Corey, especially when Corey says all these creepy things and she's just like, oh, yeah, that's so romantic. No, it's not. If I had to draw a comparison to a different relationship I've seen in movies, it's the Death Note Netflix movies relationship with Light Turner and Mia, where it's like this awkward, creepy psychopath relationship. And if I have to pull from the Netflix Death Note movie for a relationship comparison, you know it's gone wrong somewhere. And they use the relationship between Allison and Corey to show some sort of falling out between Laurie Strode and Allison, so that Laurie Strode will be alone so she can fight Michael Myers and Corey by herself, just so that Allison can come in with a last minute save right when Michael's about to choke Laurie Strode out. And it's just like, bro, I didn't need her here. I feel like it would have been better if they were just like, hey, she's out of town, and I get it, she's been here since Halloween 2018, and she's always been an important character. I just don't think she needed to be an important character in this movie specifically. I haven't even mentioned the kills, which were fantastic. I don't think they're quite as awesome as Halloween Kills, but that makes sense. That movie literally has kill in the name. But they definitely surpassed the kills in Halloween 2018, in my opinion, especially because you have two different killers in this movie with different types of killing styles. And it's interesting to see Corey come into his own, seeing him slowly getting more creative with the way that he kills, becoming more and more like Michael Myers as the movie goes on. He becomes an artist, in a way. A really screwed up artist that likes killing people, but I still think that the movie's got some amazing kills that are definitely gonna make you cringe in your seat. I know it made me cringe. I was like, but yeah, I definitely think you should give this movie a watch. I know that the Rotten Tomatoes score is pretty low, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of positive reviews on the movie right now, but I think you guys should go and watch it and make your own opinion. I walked out of it feeling like that was a satisfying conclusion to David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. After talking about it, I might have to say that this is my favorite of the trilogy, which is good. I think it ends on a solid, strong note. I know I didn't give rankings for my previous two movies, and I might change how I rank things in the future, but for now, I'll just give it a 7 out of 10. The movie doesn't amaze me in the way I think it could have. I think that's the biggest problem with the movie. There was so much potential that it wasn't able to reach, yet it still got close. And I think that's worth admiration. And I'm glad that they didn't just try to make the same Halloween movie that we've seen over and over again. That takes balls, especially when the format is perfectly laid out for you. But let me know in the comments below, do you agree with my opinions, or are you like, get this hack out of here, he's a piece of garbage? Once again, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification and leave feedback in the comments. Do you like this format? Which one of my reviews have been your favorite so far? And with that, have yourself a good evening, night, morning, whatever time you're watching this, and take care.